Thanks for joining us on WAFB's Get Fit Red Stick Facebook group, sponsored by Our Lady of the Lake. This week we are at the Louisiana Culinary Institute, and with me is Kristen Gradney. She is the Director of Nutrition and Metabolic Services at Our Lady of the Lake and a spokesperson for the Academy of Nutrition and Dietetics. Thanks so much for your time and for being here today.
Thank you for having me.
Of course. Now, I asked her to be here with me today to answer a question that was posted on the Get Fit Red Stick group last week. I asked right here on the group what you wanted me to find out for you. Stephanie Brown shared her suggestion saying, I would like to see information on meal planning and nutrition. Now, Stephanie, I reached out to Kristen to get that information for you. So today we're going to walk you through how to meal plan, starting with your trip to the grocery store. So Kristen, first, let's start with how do you get started meal planning?
Sure. So if you kind of think backwards and think, what are the things that I like to eat every day? And then start backwards and say, okay, let me think about a whole week now. What are the things I'd like to eat during the week? And it really even starts before you get to the grocery store. You have to think about, do the kids have soccer on Thursday? Do I have aerobics at 5 on Wednesday? And then work from there. Say, I need to cook meals these days, and then I should probably prepare enough to pack lunch. So you really have to think ahead and think, how can I fit healthy, nutritious, affordable meals into my life?
Perfect. Yes, good advice. Now, let's talk about the grocery store.
Sure. So once you walk into the grocery store, now there is an enormous amount of products and foods to choose from. The general rule of thumb is to always choose fresh foods. Foods that you can eat right out of the skin or right out of the pot are the ones we want to try. But being realistic, I know that people do need to eat some packaged foods, so it's a good combination. So always start with your vegetables, like that's going to be the center of your plate. Go from there and choose fresh cooked meats like chicken, and even here, so I have like a rotisserie chicken. This is a great option that you can make into anything. You can make a tortilla wrap, you can make chicken salad, you can make chicken pasta. So having these kinds of things on hand will make your meal planning and prep much easier and healthier.
Okay, some people say that buying all the healthy stuff is more expensive. Do you have tips for that?
I do. So the good thing is that if you buy fresh fruits and vegetables at your local farmers markets in season, they tend to be cheaper. Mm-hmm. It's when we try to buy foods out of season that they get to be a little bit more expensive. So like right now, if you're looking for watermelon, cantaloupe, tomatoes, those are all going to be cheaper because they're being grown right now. So look for the seasonal vegetables and produce, and then also choose meat as more of a side dish. You don't need to have a huge portion. So reducing the amount of meat we buy will also be a huge cost saver.
Okay, so how many vegetables and fruits, what's the ratio then?
So you really want to have about a 3-ounce portion of meat. We've heard that all the time. 3-ounce portion of meat. Really, it can be beans, which are a little bit more affordable, or you can even have nuts. So when we're talking about 3 ounces, we're talking about just the size of the palm of your hand. So that's really the corner of your plate. The rest of your plate should be fruits and vegetables, and some healthy carbohydrates like brown rice, pasta, any kind of grain of your choice. Even if we did oatmeal and put fruit with it, you still got to have some balance there. So you always want to make it an even spread.
What are some of the containers and things that people should have in their kitchen to be able to put these together every week?
Sure. So you want to always have small containers like this one on hand so that you can make something like a yogurt parfait. And the good thing is that if you have 3 or 4 of these, you can make each one of them, keep them in the refrigerator, and every day you can grab a fresh yogurt parfait. The good thing about doing that is that you can control the amount of sugar, the amount of fruit that goes into it, and keep it healthy. And I can actually show you one right now if you'd like.
Okay.
So one of my tips that I also do is I take just yogurt from the bulk container, and that's a little cheaper as well. That's a good way to cost save. Buy the good plain yogurt in a large container, and then I use an actual measuring spoon to put in the yogurt. So I know exactly how much I'm getting. So I'm going to put in 4 tablespoons, which is about 1/4 of a cup. And you can actually go up to about 1/2 cup. And yogurt is a great source of dairy. And so when you're meal planning, you really want to have enough of all the food groups, including dairy. Dairy is one of the ones that we know help you to lose weight, keeps your heart healthier, and is really just overall healthy for you. And it'll keep you full because it has lots of protein. So once you've put your yogurt in, just taking a fresh fruit that you've already washed, and you can see here, we've already washed these grapes, and I'm just going to put them right on top of the yogurt. And if you want to add a little granola, a little fresh oats, you can add that into, or even some nuts to add more protein. And then just put the top on it. So we have our yogurt with berries. We put our top on it and put them in the refrigerator. And then you can use a different fruit every day just to vary it, get some variety, and maybe your kids will even like it too. So having these on hand is great. It's also good to have divided containers. Just when people use meal prep services, they get these cute little containers and it makes you feel like I'm doing something good. I like this little container. You can buy those at any grocery store, and this, put your protein, some fresh veggies, a fruit in there, and you're set to go.
Okay, so do you have some more meal suggestions to make it a rounded, healthy meal?
Sure, absolutely. So again, remember that the focus should always be the vegetable.
Okay.
You want to get as many of those as you can. And here's a good example. This is a bag of frozen fresh vegetables that I picked up from the farmer's market. So in here, you probably can't see it, but there's broccoli, there's squash, there's cauliflower, carrots. So a good variety that you don't have to prep. What I could do is steam these, put it on a bed of whole wheat pasta, add some grilled shrimp or just some steamed shrimp, season it, toss it with a healthy butter source or a light margarine, and that would be a perfect lunch or even dinner to take. And you didn't really prepare anything. A few other options would be for breakfast, if you boil eggs. So if you're gonna buy eggs, whether it's a dozen or half dozen, go ahead and boil them all on one day. So on Sunday, if that's your prep day and your planning day, just boil them all, keep them in the refrigerator, and then you can just grab a boiled egg for breakfast and grab a fruit like a banana, something that's already prepped. You just peel it and eat it, and that's a great balance of carbohydrate and protein.
Now, how long does, just safety-wise, how long is a boiled egg good for in the fridge?
About 3 to 5 days.
So 3 to 5 days.
Yeah, will be good. And just keep them refrigerated. As soon as you pull it out, you'll want to consume it in a timely manner in the next 30 minutes to an hour for safety.
Okay, silly question, but do you go ahead and take the shell off and then put it in the fridge, or does it need to stay in?
It really depends on what time you have. If you have time to peel them all, make your life easier during the week, and you can really just grab it and eat it, or you can keep it in the shell. Either way is acceptable as long as you keep them refrigerated.
Okay, I didn't know that.
Yes.
Well, let's talk about snacks. What about, because,
Yes.
to be on a healthy diet, meal planning, part of it is also having snacks so you're not hungry later
Absolutely.
in the day. So.
And that is really the key. As a dietitian, we always tell people you have to have foods on hand that are healthy for you, accessible, and fit into your meal plan. So one of my recommendations is to buy fruits and vegetables that are already pretty much prepped for you. The work is done. These are individual little cherry tomatoes. If you wash them, keep them on hand, put them in a little Ziploc bag, keep them in your purse or at your desk, and then you can just pop them throughout the day. The other thing that I like to do is keep fruits that are also pre-prepped, or so I like to call, they come prepped for us. So unlike a watermelon where you have to chop it up, these are already ready to go. All you have to do is wash and eat. So keeping a large container of these types of fruits and vegetables on your kitchen counter will help kind of curb some of those cravings for the snacky things.
Okay.
Now, if you're looking for salty snacks, it would be a great idea to make a trail mix of popcorn, pretzels, and some nuts. So that way you get carbohydrates, you get some protein, and it fills that salty craving for you.
That's definitely where I'm at.
Yes.
I crave the salty things more than the sweet things. So.
Right. And now with all the versions of popcorn, some as low as 35 calories for a cup, that's a great filler. You can fill your trail mix with that. You can even put a few pieces of dark chocolate mixed in there so that you get a little treat every now and then.
Good.
And that kind of satisfies all the cravings, hopefully.
Perfect. What else for just if I'm doing it for the whole family?
Sure.
Are there suggestions for family friendly to kind of make a meal plan for everybody?
Sure. One of the main things to get kids to eat the meals that we want, or the kids that we like, is incorporating lots of fruits and vegetables, but also include them in shopping and prepping. One thing that I personally do for my kids is I buy these little prep tools that they can handle and they can help with. So this one is a masher, so what I would do is I would get them to help me with if we're mashing or if we're even just chopping up. I'd put a clove of pre-peeled garlic in here, and I would let them mash it up for me. So that way they feel like they've contributed to the meal, and they're much more likely to eat whatever it is. It doesn't have to necessarily be pizza, but they'll want to try it because they've participated and they've helped. Another good little tool that I like is this peeler. And you can buy these in any store, but basically you can hold your hand over it, and so it's safe for kids to use. So that way,
Oh, wow.
if they're wanting to peel a potato, a pear, anything, they just use it like this and it's safe. And it lets them almost prep their own snack. They could chop this up into slices and have it on hand and eat it as a snack or part of the meal. So the first step is really getting them involved. Once you've gotten them involved, start letting them choose some items in the grocery store that they would like to try or taste and incorporate that into meals that you're preparing already. The goal is for kids to understand there's only one type of food, not kid food and adult food, that we all eat the same food, and help them understand that.
Well, what about leftovers? What if you cook a big meal and you have all these leftovers? Do you have some suggestions for turning that into part of your meal prep?
Sure, absolutely. So the good thing is that any protein that you prepare, so like the chicken we talked about, or if you made a beef tenderloin, or if you baked fish, that you would incorporate that into a sandwich or a salad. It's always really easy to convert the veggies that you've had and the protein you've had into a wrap or just a tossed salad for lunch the next day. So that's a really good way to do it. Another tip that I like to tell people is to take some of the protein or some of the veggies you've created, put it in Ziploc bags in the freezer, so that if you're running out of the door one day and you don't have time to pack lunch, you can grab some of those. You can grab the veggies and the meat, heat it up at lunch, and next thing you know, you have a full meal. So you don't always have to consume them immediately, but think ahead and think, how can I use this in the future?
That's awesome. Good information. And I love getting the kids involved. And I mean, these are great tips. Whenever we wrap this up, I'm actually going to talk to you about a grocery list that we can share for everyone who wants to start meal prepping. I wanted to ask you one more thing. With it being the 4th of July holiday,
Sure.
Let's talk about all of the barbecue and leftovers. And maybe on the holiday we kind of fudge a little bit on our diet. Maybe we'll have more of the fun foods than we usually have. How do we get back on track? And it's okay to have those fun meals, right?
It is. We definitely want to realize that there are foods to have certain times, and you can incorporate those foods that you love with healthier foods too. So try to balance it during the day, but definitely don't skip the mac and cheese if that's what you want. So the next day, the good thing is that you can probably turn some of those same foods into healthy menu options. So if you had barbecued chicken or barbecued ribs, you could easily pull those apart and make a perfectly healthy pulled chicken or pulled pork sandwich on a wheat bun and serve it with some sweet potato fries the next day. And you can just pull those out of the freezer. So the important thing is that you start balancing. So just transition back to what we know is a healthy diet and start incorporating some of those healthier foods while maybe keeping some of those leftovers. Or you could, like we mentioned before, package it up into meals. Go ahead and get some of those containers and put a little bit of macaroni and cheese and green beans and some of the meat in a container and put it away in the freezer. So that on a day when you feel like indulging in some of those foods, they're already packaged away. You didn't waste them, you still get to enjoy them, but it doesn't hinder your progress on your healthy diet.
Fantastic. Now, is there anything else you want to share? Any nutrition advice for our group members who are working on their fitness and really working towards getting healthy?
Sure, absolutely. So what I would say is start with a registered dietitian, because there's so much nutrition information out there, and you really want to get it from the best source. And dietitians are well versed in nutrition and have lots of experience in helping you incorporate healthy foods into your diet. The other thing is start where you are. You don't have to go vegetarian tomorrow, but start making small changes where you can make swaps, swapping some carbs for some more vegetables, or swapping sugar for, sparkling water if you're drinking soda. Just make small changes and they'll add up over time.
Perfect. Thank you so much. I really
thank you
appreciate
for having me.
Yes, it's great information. Thank you. And I'm going to take all this information and share it on WAFB.com and on the 9 News app. And I hope that you all have a great 4th of July. But I hope you didn't take a holiday from getting fit. I want to know how you're staying fit this holiday and what you're doing every day. Share those with us right here on the group. For the Get Fit Red Stick Facebook group, I'm Allison Childers.